The problem isn't personal, and it's not individual. Our problem is collective. And just as Negroes suffer collectively from the collective attitude of white people in this country, you can't approach it on an individual basis. And this is where whites make their mistakes today. You should ask the Negroes who are being bitten by dogs after professing love for white people. If you notice, they accuse Mr. Muhammad of teaching hate. Well, Martin Luther King teaches Negroes to love all white people, no matter what they do to you, and the same whites whom he teaches Negroes to love sick dogs on him, sick dogs on their children, dogs on their women, and dogs on their babies. So I think it's very hypocritical on the part of whites to accuse Mr. Muhammad of a hate teacher because he says separation, and then sick dogs on Martin Luther King, who is teaching integration. It means that no matter what the Negro does, he is not going to get along with whites. So I think that Mr. Muhammad's whole philosophy is more intelligent than Mr. King's. Well, as Muslims, we judge a man according to his behavior, according to his conscientious behavior. And you'll find that all of the injustices that black people are crying out against in this country are being inflicted upon them by whites. It is the whites who are depriving our people of civil rights. It is whites who are depriving our people of implementing what the Supreme Court decision said should be implemented. Wherever black people turn, they are facing the hostility of whites, so that when you get the collective pulse beat of Negroes in this country, you'll get a truer picture of how our people think. You can't go up to an individual and ask him what does he think. How do all of you think who are catching hell collectively at the hands of white people collectively? Our religion teaches us that there is but one God, the creator of the universe, the supreme being, and that all prophets came from that God. The Christians refer to him, I think, as Christ. The Jews call him Jehovah. Muslims know that his name is Allah. And Islam, in its essence, means complete submission to God. Any Jew that practices his religion rightly is practicing the Muslim religion. Anyone who practices the teachings of Jesus is practicing the Muslim religion. I think that white people are so guilty, knowing what they've done to black people, that they feel if the deeds were reversed, they would hate the black man if he had done the same thing to them. So it's actually, it reflects a guilt complex on the part of whites when they ask us, do we hate them? And if you notice, Uncle Sam has formed the habit of going all over the world. He calls it the ugly American, or the American image. He thinks that everybody hates him because it's a guilt complex. And if you think that if you are worried about Europeans hating you, and they're your allies and your cousins, well, naturally it would follow for you to think that Negroes in this country would hate you, especially in light of what has been done to black people in this country by white people. We don't teach hate. Mr. Muhammad teaches the truth. And he teaches that our people should unite among ourselves and try and solve our own problems instead of trying to force ourselves upon whites and blame them for our plight. Well, coming out of a courtroom just now where 14 Negroes are being prosecuted by white prosecutors, being judged by a white judge, being brought before an all-white jury, makes it almost impossible for me to think that even the well-meaning whites number a sufficient quantity to bring about a situation where black people in this country, even those who love whites and trust whites, will ever get a fair shake or a fair break, even in the court.
You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spyro Agnew to eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by the Schaefer Award Theater and will not star Natalie Woods and Steve McQueen or Bullwinkle and Julia. revolution will not give your mouth sex appeal. The revolution will not get rid of the nub. The revolution will not make you look 5 pounds thinner, because the revolution will not be televised, brother. There will be no pictures of you and Willie Mae pushing that shopping cart down the block on the dead run, or trying to slide that color TV into a stolen ambulance. NBC will not be able to predict the winner at 8:32 on report from 29 districts. The revolution will not be televised.
Video. Apparently nobody told them that white people aren't just going to sit by with their mouths shut anymore when we are called racists and attacked by black supremacists. Dear black people, if white privilege actually exists, and if white supremacy is woven into the very fabric of most of our major institutions in America, then why is it that Asians have the highest income in this country? Why is it that black people, who make up about 13% of the population in this country, commit 50% of the murders? Actually, I got a better question for you. Since black men commit the overwhelmingly majority of those murders, and black men consist of about 6.5% of the population in this country, you get it, about half the population of blacks are women, half are men. How is it and why is it that about 6.5% of the population of this country commit approximately 50% of the murders? And why is it that the out-of-wedlock birth rate among African Americans is approximately 75%? I'm not asking these questions to attack you, and facts aren't racist, even if they hurt your feelings. I'm asking these questions because I and millions of other Americans want to know what the hell is wrong with your community. And you should probably stop calling every white person racist when they ask these questions or point out facts that hurt your feelings. Because when you overuse and misuse a word and try to attach it to people and things that it doesn't apply to, you become a bunch of boys who cry wolf. Dear black people, race relations were actually getting quite a bit better in this country in recent years until the Black Lives Matter movement started rioting and looting in cities across the country every time an armed and dangerous black thug got shot and killed by police.
Back at it tonight. You know, we're gonna have another one of those black talks. I saw that video earlier today, and it kind of highlights the thing I say all the time about a lot of white folks. Now, a lot of white folks don't think like that, but a lot of them do. One thing, white folks don't have time to be worried about race relations. Most of them is thinking about their money, and that's what gives them an advantage over everything else. They don't have to think about race because they winning. So why do I have to think about race when everything's working? And that brings me to my question about us. What's wrong with us? Why do we consistently try to integrate with these people, be cordial with these people, and in the end, we get screwed? Now, I was talking to one of my buddies, and I was like, Can you tell me one good president during the Jim Crow years? Well, nope. It's Jim Crow years. Can you tell me one good slave master? Oh, no good slave masters? Oh, okay. I mean, I guess we're on the road. What about fair police officers who beat down, tortured, and imprisoned blacks wrongly? See, we get this whole narrative, like this man was talking about. I always want to blame the victims of American genocide for what they've done to us, and then try to do these individual excuses. If you're listening to the intro of the show, Malcolm was talking about, no, our problem is collective, so it's got to be dealt with collectively. You can't use individual success or individual groups to point to this person. Like, why does Asians make more money than white folks? And I've talked about it before on many occasions. And it holds well for every group except us. these other people have connections to their heritage and don't fuck with white people like that. They don't. Here's something that I'm sure you'll find amazing, because they're always telling us, oh, well, you got to get out here and get political and do this and vote and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Really? Asians don't give a damn. In this article, it's saying 3 out of 10 Asians have cast ballots in elections since 1998. 3 out of 10. And like that guy said, they're the highest paid in America. Why? Because they don't fuck with these people. They got their own thing. And they could care less. And their country is doing well when it comes to imports from America, to America. Imports and exports, loaning us money, investing all over the world. So America has to look at them as an equal. So we'll respect them. What you ain't done, nigga? No, you ain't did nothing. You tried to integrate into our system, tried to be like us, and we're never going to really allow that. We've just proven during the election, we gave that Negro 8 years to get us out of the hole, and we're going to act like this man put us in a deeper hole. It's disgusting. I would have wished that Obama would have just got impeached and went buck wild crazy like Trump is doing. I wouldn't mind it, because that's what it needs to happen. What you got to lose? This is what this man said to black people, because he doesn't respect black people. He doesn't talk to black people. He talks at black people. This is what I'm going to do for you. And if that's not enough for you, fuck you. We got to read between the lines. Like I said, they offered $25 billion for education, but they offered $40 billion for a wall. That's America's priorities. And I hope one day that I'm going to get everybody on the same page, and we're going to be believing that just like the Asians and the Jews and the Hispanics that collectively come together, that still have an attachment to their heritage, and they go out here and they get things done. If you have to be political, you have to be political as a group. We can't come together on shit. Nothing. We own 1% of everything, and we spend our money on nothing. We don't have a value system that's matched across the board, because you have so many well-educated people that have bought totally into the system and say, why are you complaining? Just do like I do. Go to work every day. Say yes, sir. Yes, sir. And continue on. Like I say all the time, at my job, I'm in meetings all the time, and I constantly count the black people. It's ridiculous. If it's one black person for every 20 people, and out of that 20, at least 15 of them are white. Maybe 2 or 3 Indians, 1 Asian, which becomes another point when they always throwing the Asians up at us. The Asians got their own business. They don't have to really mess around like this. There's a Chinatown in every town in America. Nobody calls them racist just because they got Chinatown. But we constantly bound to this. We can't do that. That's racist. We're worried about hurting masses' feelings. When it don't feel right, it ain't right. I mean, have you ever sat down and just thought, what do you want out of life for your people? Not just for you, but what do you want for your people? Have you ever thought about the future of your people? Have you ever thought 100 years later, when you're dead, what's the world going to be like that you left for your kids and your grandkids? Are we going to be flocking to stores to buy Jordans and all this other type of nonsense that gets us nowhere? Do you look and say, I don't think black people will ever come together? I saw a good video I wanted to share with you guys. It was called Dear Black People, and it was a young lady talking about the disparaging narrative of black people and what we do and how we behave and how we need to get our shit together. Let me share that with you.
So this video is dedicated to black people. There's a lot going on right now, right? It seems like the collective shit has hit the fan. And there's so much going on. But I notice every day when I'm scrolling down my Facebook wall, you know, I see all these black conscious groups, and I'm always getting added to these black conscious groups, and all they're doing is talking about what the problem is. And we know what the problem is, you know? Sometimes I have to ask the question, are we creating a solution, or are we constantly perpetuating the victim mentality? Here's the reality. We have been put through so much shit. Nobody is going to tell you that you're wrong on that. And I'm not trying to minimize that. We have been put through hell and back, whether it be slavery, castration, rape, mass incarceration, the Tuskegee experiments, the miseducation of our children, lynchings, and the drugs that plague our communities. We have been put through shit. I know that. You know that. We all know that. But here's the reality. We're still doing the same thing that we've been doing, which is laying down and taking it. The only difference now is that we're talking shit about it. But it doesn't mean that we're not still playing victim. See, the truth is that we need to get up and create a solution. We need to flourish and prosper even in the face of adversity. Well, how we gonna do that? They keep suppressing us. They keep doing that. It ain't got shit to do with them. If you can stand in line for a pair of shoes, if you can scrape up your last dollars to buy some $300 pair of shoes, then you ain't that suppressed. Here's the reality, black people. That money that you're spending to put Nikes on your feet, Nike on your son's feet, Jordans on your daughter's feet, that could be going to their future, because those material things will lead them nowhere. That is not the key to freedom. Nike is not the key to your freedom. Jordan is not the key to your freedom. Having the best fits is not the key to your freedom. Education. We in the black community need to be producing black doctors and black lawyers and black scientists. That's what we need to be producing. Our children need to know that there is hope outside of becoming a rapper or a ball player, and there's nothing wrong with that. The only thing wrong with that is that our children think that that's their only option, that that's their only way out. That to me looks like hopelessness. Now we should pool our chips to put our babies into programs, into schools that will truly educate them and make them capable of standing for something, standing firm on something. So that when one of our sons does get shot down in the streets, we can call one of the black lawyers that we know. You know? We should have that capability, but we don't, because we're not producing black doctors. We're not producing black lawyers. We're not producing black scientists. We're producing rappers. We're producing ball players. We're producing the highest Nike sales ever. We going broke buying shoes. And then aside from all of that ignorance, then you got the nerve to be divided. You got black men against black women and black women talking shit about black men. And as a result, the black home, which is the foundation of the community, is in shambles. Then you got light skin against dark skin, but you both are niggas to them. When it comes down to it, it don't matter if you're high yellow or you're asphalt black. You are African American. You are of African descendants. You are black. That is the reality.
there's some reality. A lot of those points, like I say, once a month, I like to break down and just have that serious dialogue about what's wrong with us. So, because we can't always talk about them and not do what we need to be doing. I don't wear Nikes. I don't buy Nikes. I haven't bought since way back then when they were part of the whole African apartheid situation. I started wearing New Balance. I still wear New Balance. Who knows? New Balance could be a part of the system too. I just knew Nike was a big supporter of it. We got to think differently. Like the sister was saying, it's too much division. I was watching a program about gym shoes. I can't remember what it was. It was on the Magic Johnson Aspire channel. And they showed my old neighborhood, and all these kids were lined up to get these new Jordans. And like she said, they were $265, $300 a piece. And I'm thinking, why aren't you taking that $300 and spending it on some type of trade or some type of program, or investing it in something that's going to return a yield to you? Now, we encourage all our kids to go to college and get educated. The unfortunate thing about the education that they don't tell you is the education only teaches you to go and work in their system. This is how you do this. This is how you do this. You're going to come here. We're going to say, good job. We can trust you because now you are in debt, because that's how America works. We only taught you to come here and not be an individual. You can't be in corporate America and be an individual. You have to be the way we want you to be. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Carter G. Wilson, get the book. This is how we were programmed to think, okay, we out of slavery, now we need to do something, and the only thing we know how to do is mimic white people, because we have no connection to our ancestors. So from the very beginning, fresh out of slavery, we have been mimicking white people. And some of us that have been successful are like, okay, this is great. This is great. And mimicking these white people is what pulls you away from your people. And you know, we all have the right to live in a decent neighborhood and good schools and all that. But the further you go, the harder it is to reach out for your brother. You go a little further, the harder it is to see your brother. The farther you go, the harder it is to hear your brother. Then you start talking and acting like these people. Like they saying something right. All these black Republicans running around. Well, you got to get up and you got to do something. Why don't you help us do something? Do you honestly think Donald Trump gives a damn? The man stood on TV and said, yeah, me and my father did that racial discrimination, but I wrote a check. He's not my president. You can save all that crap. They're on TV today. Oh, it's shameful the way people are talking about the president. After the 8 years of shit we just watched with Obama, this man basically had to denounce his blackness and everything just to even get in the funky seat of presidency. And then you controlled him like a puppet when he was there, and he did your dirty bids. And worst 8 years of my life, I can honestly say I saw more undercover racists and racist behavior that was outrageous. It's not an alternative fact, it was a fact. I saw black people losing their jobs, white people getting moved around, white people getting promoted, whatever it took to keep a white person employed, it happened. And blacks filed more unemployment claims than anybody else. A lot of times you can't blame the women because they're trying to survive. And they're programmed to survive. If I can't survive with you, brother, then what's wrong with me going to get one of these white men? I see it on TV all the time now. What do you think all that's about? Olivia Pope and every successful black woman on TV now got to have a white man. We accept you, sister. We like black women. The black man, no, we're gonna keep locking their ass up at an astounding rate because we know we have to keep them locked down and under control. And once we get them to a certain point, sisters, we know y'all will do the rest. You know, you're not gonna sit around and wait on this brother to get his stuff together, to get in line with what we're putting down. And we're not gonna let him do anything else. That's the situation for a lot of people. A lot of brothers just aren't going to make it. It's hard to put up with all the bull crap and try to niche out some form of success. I'm always constantly thinking about the day I can escape the plantation and do my own thing on a larger level. Is it more us or more them? Like the sister was saying. Like I'm saying. You can continue to believe all this political stuff. I think the whole political machine is evil. It's the same system that kept you in prison in this country for 350 years. It's the same system that allowed another 150 years of Jim Crow. So for some reason, blacks, no matter how many times you get dealt the bad hand, continue to believe that you're going to get some honest play here. Oh, we gave you a little bit. We gave you some rights. Why in the hell you got to give me rights when you say I'm American and this Constitution is supposed to give me the same rights? Malcolm broke it down. He's like, look, King is over here doing it one way and appeasing and kissing your ass, and you beat him. I'm over here doing it here and being defiant, and you're beating me. So it just goes to show you, no matter which way we go, the capacity to be fair is not there. So you watch CNN all day and you watch all the stuff that's going on in Washington, D.C. You see any black men of power on TV? No, you're just props. You have no real power. A lot of black people in positions in corporate America have no real power. Unless it's their company. I know judges that really don't have power. And his brother gonna tell me, well, not all millionaires are evil, you know. I know one. We're not talking about individuals. We're talking about the collective problem. Collectively, America has put their foot on our backs. I'm not talking about one good white man. Of course, there's plenty of good white folks. A lot of them are blind. They want to believe that it's not as bad as we say it is. It can't be that bad. Oh my God, please don't let it be that bad. I can't live with myself if it's actually that bad. A lot of people are upset now because of the Dave Chappelle new comedies that were released by Netflix, and he talks about a lot of racial stuff. That was part of the reason he left the show. Sometimes these people are going to come to you with some shit, and you just going to have to look at them and say, I can't. Like I talked about being on these jobs, and the average time for a white person to get promoted is 1 to 2 years. Black person, 7 to 10 years. And if they promote you, you better put on your tap shoes and really say, thank you, massa. but they're not giving you shit. You went in there, you worked hard, and they rewarded you what the fuck they felt you was rewarded. And we don't hate whites. We hate the treatment of whites. We want to be treated fairly like everybody else. And if we can't be treated fairly, why can't we not step away? Why can we not come together? Why can she spoke about these rappers and sports athletes? I talked about in my village report. Why can't we re-educate our children and demand something of our children? They can't go to school most of the time unless we helping them to get there anyway. Why don't we demand our children go to a black university? Especially if they're good in sports. Make sure that they do something for their people and say, hey, we doing something bigger here. We finna shut down all this television shit going over here to all these white schools. Because the TV is there to see mostly the black players. NBA doesn't exist without black players. The NFL isn't what it is without black players. So you want all that money to switch over? Demand your number one son go to a black university. Everybody wants to see him. All that revenue gonna start switching because now you got to come over here and deal with the black university. Now the black universities doesn't need that much federal money like they need now. If there was a black league like the NBA, got smart, put that development league out there, that D league, we're gonna start training these Negroes in college. Make them ready for the pros. That's how the devil works. Isn't that what Sterling said about his players? Look, I give them cars, women. I give them everything a nigga could need and want. But I don't give him the insight to help his people. I can't give him a conscience to help his people. We're seeing more and more starting to step out. But that's the type of collective shit that we need. And we don't want anybody to cut off their nose despite their face. But you need money to make all this happen. And how many of us have any money? We don't own shit. We own 1% of anything in America. Most of us don't have enough money to get from shit 2 paychecks, and you may be homeless. For most of us, and that's even those that have good jobs. The show I'm gonna be doing next week is called Fronting, and it's talking about all these black people, PhDs, MBAs, and you drive an Uber. You're on welfare. You're still trying to put on a brave face. Nobody got time for all that shit. You can get so wrapped up in their world that you can forget who you are. And that's an everyday fight. On my wall over here, I got big size pictures of Malcolm, Mandela, Martin. I got slavery pictures on my wall. Trayvon Martin hoodie. I come home to be black every day because I'm stuck in this funky system. That I'm at the point that I really don't care what great things they think they can do for me. I've explained what I deserve. You said I didn't deserve it, so there it is. Life is life. And that's the point we're going to have to get to with these people. Otherwise, it's never going to happen. The destruction that they've done to us and the black family and the black man and the black woman and the black children in this country is unbelievable. It's so deep. And we so tied into it. And we don't realize that we're in a war zone. And we don't have no ammunition. Love, peace, soul. We out of here.
The white man doesn't even come into my attitude. our own kind and let the white man take care of himself. For a white man today, sir, after kidnapping millions of black people from Africa, stripping them of all human characteristics and relegating them to the role of chattel or cattle or animals, commodity, merchandise that could be bought and sold at will, and then 100 years since the Emancipation Proclamation, using every type of deceptive method to further us into slavery, called second-class citizenship, I think that it would take a whole lot of nerve for white people today to ask Negroes, do they hate them? The problem isn't personal, and it's not individual.